Hey there, this is James Wilson with MTB Strength Training Systems and BikeJames.com, and today I'm going over the 3 basic kettlebell exercises. This video is in conjunction with a recent article that I wrote for Decline Magazine called 1 kettlebell plus 3 exercises equals a faster rider. And in a nutshell, I've learned over my years of working with mountain bikers that the simpler a program can be, the more likely a mountain biker is to do it. And really nothing gets simpler than these 3 basic exercises that you can do with 1 kettlebell. So all you need is 1 piece of equipment and you can do these 3 exercises and you're gonna see some really great results on the trail. So what I wanted to do is go over some of the fine points of these exercises and also explain a little bit more about why they're so great for us as mountain bikers. Now, first up is one of my all-time favorite, the Turkish Get-Up. The Turkish Get-Up works on everything that you need as a mountain biker. You're working on core strength. You're working on, lateral hip mobility and strength that you need for cornering. You're working on shoulder stability that you need for being able to muscle your bike around and absorb, trail impacts with the upper body. You're working on single leg strength, which is obviously very important for your ability to pedal. And pretty much anything that you need on the trail, the Turkish Get-Up is either going to help directly or help lay the foundation for you to do better with it. So what I want to do is go over what the Turkish Get-Up is and just a few fine points along the way. So what you're going to do is get your kettlebell, lie down on the ground, and you're going to bring it up with 2 hands and get it into position. So get myself angled here so you can kind of see what's going on. Now step 1, now here's the first thing you got to keep in mind. This arm is coming along for the ride. Most people focus on this hand that's holding the kettlebell, but this is not where the focus needs to be. It actually needs to be on the arm that's on the floor. This is what's driving the movement at first. So what you're going to do is leverage this elbow into the ground and drive yourself up. Get up on your elbow. So as soon as you start coming up, lead with your chest and get yourself here. So you see I did not press this kettlebell up. I leverage myself up with my elbow. And once you get up to this position here, you're going to drive your palm into the ground and lock that elbow out. So again, I'm not pressing the kettlebell up. It's just coming along for the ride. Once I've got myself, my elbows locked out, it helps too if you kind of point your elbow. Think about screwing your shoulder into the socket, and you accomplish that keeping your palm flat on the ground. Don't let it move, but you're going to twist your elbow and point your elbow in towards you. Once you've got that set, you're going to drive your hip up off of the ground. Then you're going to pull your leg underneath you. So right here I'm in a good balanced position. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back a little bit towards my heel so I can take my weight off of this hand. And then I'm going to use my hips to get me up to this half kneeling position. Once I've done that, I windshield wiper my foot around, so I'm in like a good strong half kneeling position, and then I'm going to lunge up. I'm going to stand up, get to the top. You can see when I get to the top, I've got my bicep in line with my ear, my elbows locked out, good strong position. And once you've done that, you're just going to do all those steps in reverse. You're going to step back in your half kneeling position. You're going to windshield wiper the foot around. Sit back a little bit towards your heel. Don't sit on your heel. You're just sitting back so you can get your hand on the ground and then transition your weight over to your hand. Keep driving that palm hard into the ground to stabilize yourself. You're going to extend that leg out and drop those hips to the ground. You're going to come back down to your elbow and then you're going to lower yourself back down to the ground. And then 2 hands down. So that's basically how you execute a Turkish Get-Up, the basic steps and a couple little insights into how to get a little bit more out of it. You want to do 1 rep per side. This is not an endurance exercise. So if you're going to do 3 reps and you want to do 1 on one side, then 1 on the other and alternate back and forth till you've done 3 on each side. What I suggest doing is setting up a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and just practicing your Turkish Get-Ups. Practice your movement with these, really get proficient with them, and it'll really help you out. So that's your Turkish Get-Up. The swing is the next exercise. And the swing is about as close to riding your mountain bike without actually riding your mountain bike as you can get. This is going to work on body position. This is going to work on your ability to, time absorbing impacts with your legs and your hips. This is going to work on your ability to power movement from your hips and not using your lower back and your arms. So this is going to help with so many things: balance, control, jumping and manualing. A lot of that stuff is built off of this basic movement pattern. So show you a couple tips for the kettlebell swing. So what you're going to do, this is built off of your deadlift. So if you don't have command of this basic exercise right here, then you need to practice that until you have that down. But if you have that down, we're able to drive your hips back behind your heels, let your chest come to the ground and do that comfortably, then you're ready for your kettlebell swing. So there's a couple ways to get started with the swing. If you've never done one before, the easiest way to do it is to do like you're going to do a deadlift, but then barely break the kettlebell off of the ground. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hike the kettlebell aggressively, like trying to slam your wrists into your crotch. If you let go of the kettlebell, it should fly back behind you. And then you're going to relax your arms. So it's going to look like this. You're going to hike, relax, hike, relax, hike, relax. So once you've got that down, that hiking and then relaxing the arms while maintaining that position down, this should not change your position. Then you're ready to do a swing. So what you're going to do is you're going to hike back, and then you're going to do like a deadlift. You're going to drive your heels into the ground, like you're trying to dent the ground with your heels to come up, and at the very top, you're going to squeeze your thighs together. At the RKC certification I went to, they called it making lemonade. Pretend you got a lemon right here between your thighs, right below your privates, and you're trying to squeeze that sucker. You wouldn't want to drink that lemonade, but you want to make it. If you do that at the top of your swing, what you're going to feel is your glutes get tight, but you're not squeezing your glutes. You're pressing those thighs together. Again, we're screwing the femur, the legs, up into the hips. Helps create extra stability and extra power. So it's a very important visual to get down. So dent the ground with your heels to initiate the movement, and then squeeze those thighs together and make lemonade at the top, and you're going to do really good with this. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to get that set, just get a few hikes and relaxes. So hike, relax, hike, relax, hike, drive and squeeze, and then catch it with your hips. Okay, so after you've done that a couple times, you're ready to do your swing. What you're going to do is you're going to start with the kettlebell about a foot in front of you. You're going to sit back in your hips a little bit. If I let go of this kettlebell right now, I would fall backwards. So I've got a little bit of pressure on my fingertips. I'm feeling the tension in my hips. Then I'm going to hike my arms back and squeeze. I'm going to catch the kettlebell with my hips. So a couple tips on this one. Don't time your movement based on the kettlebell. You want to time it. You want to time your hips, catching it with your hips at the bottom. So as soon as the kettlebell starts dropping, you don't drop. You don't drop. You don't drop. When it gets to about here is where you catch it with your hips. Like if you're catching a baseball, somebody threw a ball at you, you wouldn't, when the ball is 3 feet away from you, you wouldn't start trying to time catching the ball. You would wait until the ball practically hit the mitt, and then you would time catching it. So it's the same idea here. You're catching the kettlebell with your hips. Again, it's a very important skill on the trail, because when you're landing, jumps and absorbing trail impacts and stuff with your legs, you want to be thinking about absorbing and catching that energy with your hips. And that's going to really help you maintain balance and control when you get into rough sections with the bike. So that's the idea there. So again, wait until the kettlebell is practically in your hips before you catch it, and then drive those heels into the ground and then drive it back up. So that is your kettlebell swing. A couple tips for that. Above all, make sure you're keeping your shoulders pulled down and back. You can have from here down looking great, but if you've just got this ridiculous rounded shoulder thing going on and shoulders are hunched, and you want to be making sure that you look good from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom of your feet. So that's your kettlebell swing. And then finally your goblet squat, which is probably the easiest of the 3 exercises to pick up. You're going to get it set in front of you, grab your kettlebell and hold it in front of you like this. Now you notice I have space between my chest and the kettlebell. I'm not hugging the kettlebell in towards me. What I'm doing is I got my shoulder blades tucked into my back pockets. I got my upper arms, my biceps press into my ribs, and I got some space here between me and the kettlebell. So right here, I'm holding this with my upper back. I don't have my chest and my shoulders holding this, but I'm also not hugging this in tight. So once you've got that position set, what you're gonna do, feet set shoulder width apart, toes pointed slightly out, you're gonna pull yourself down into the bottom position. You wanna get the tips of your elbows to touch the insides of your knees. I call it pointy part to meaty part. So you get in the pointy part of your elbow to touch the meaty part on the inside of your thighs, and then you're gonna drive through your heels, squeeze those butt cheeks, think about making lemonade at the top, and come back up. So pull yourself down, pointy part to meaty part, and you're gonna drive yourself back up. Something that will help you on this exercise is to think about keeping the top of your head pointed towards the ceiling the whole time. Whereas with the swing and the deadlift, we want to let the chest come down, the butt back and the chest down. With the squat, we want to keep the torso upright and the top of the head pointed towards the ceiling. That'll also help you on the way back up. If you're driving straight up and think about driving the top of your head straight up towards the ceiling, that'll make sure that you don't come out of your bottom position and do something like that where you buck the hips first and then come up. So you want to make sure that you can execute a good squat and a good hip hinge movement pattern, just so you've got, command of both. And so the goblet squat it's a really good exercise for building upper back strength and tying that into the legs through the core, because you're having to hold the weight with your arms and your upper back, but you're creating the energy that's moving everything with your legs. That has to transfer through the core into the kettlebell in order to create the force to get that to rise. So it's just a good exercise for building core strength and upper back strength and tying that into the legs and just teaching you how to squat properly. So that's your goblet squat. So those are your 3 basic exercises, a few extra little coaching tips and stuff that'll hopefully get you some more out of that. If you want to check out the routine that I came up with in Decline Magazine, be sure to pick up a copy of I think it's the July issue where it came out in, and they have their digital issues available at declinemagazine.com where you can pick up back issues as well. So definitely be sure to check that out. But hopefully these tips are giving you guys some helpful things that'll help you get more out of these exercises. And again, these 3 basic exercises cover most of what you need to see dramatic improvements on the trail from strength training. So all you need is 1 kettlebell, 3 exercises, and you'll become a faster rider. So once again, it's been James Wilson with MTB Strength Training Systems. You guys can check me out on the web at bikejames.com. I'll talk to you guys next time.